What if you are an artist and you don't know it? Welcome to A Better Philosophy Towards Art. I'm your host Tushaar, and in this episode, we will be talking about a better philosophy towards understanding art. I'm so glad you made it so far, and I hope you're enjoying this podcast series. The starting point of this podcast is going to be the link between art and life. I hope I have tried to convey in some shape or form that art is a perspective which you embed, and it's a lens through which you see the world. When you have this perspective, you are able to appreciate things in a new light. Things are no more a part of daily life, but they have a certain characteristic. Things have a certain depth of their own. People struggle with life in general, and trying to integrate art into life is a meaningless challenge for most people. But there are a few reasons why we should and can do this. The first is life with art holds some meaning and relevance. It gives us hope towards something. This is a difficult topic to express because we are all at very different stages of life. We are all going through a different array of emotions. We are all experiencing new chapters and seeing different things. We all struggle with senselessness, a feeling of not being able to make sense with anything in general. Our friend groups, our family, the shows that run on TV, our Instagram feed, even taking the dog for a walk. It all seems like a very senseless endeavor. And we might get to questioning, why do we do it all? But before I let you question yourself so much, I have a better perspective. The perspective is viewing it through a lens of art. Now, art by itself is meaningless. It doesn't aid in the survival of the species. It doesn't propagate itself naturally. It doesn't really, it's not an essential commodity for the survival of any species or humans for this podcast. I've come to the conclusion that age does not play a factor to understand art. Even a newborn child understands art, as does an aged or old person, because art reaches out to the inherent predisposition of a being, the natural tendency for us humans to feel something, and that does not require an age. So in essence, understanding art does not require much. It just requires the ability to stay still and experience life. But how do we call something art, and how do we call something life? For example, you have tea every day, but does that become art? And if you were recorded having tea for an art film, suddenly that's considered art. So, how do we draw the line between art and life? Or do we link the two? I feel the context dictates when we call something art and when we don't. The context, there are many factors that create context. For example, historical factors, life situations, life events, country politics, so on and so forth. But within this mesh, there is place for a perspective of art, what we call the art perspective. And when we apply the principles of slowing down, of being a little more patient, of adding the element of surprise in our day, and being comfortable with ourselves, being courageous with ourselves, we get to view life with a new perspective. In essence, a better philosophy towards understanding art is being courageous and comfortable being yourself. When we are comfortable and courageous with ourselves, we allow ourselves to experience life fully. We allow life to flow through us. We gain a greater understanding of life in general. And you might or might not come to the conclusion that life and art is the same thing. That's why, on one hand, we value it so much and price it at very, very expensive. We see very, very expensive artworks in auctions. At the other end, we have Pani Puri, which is something that you get on the street, but I consider it a work of art. So, not everyone is going to call out artwork, or not everyone is going to use this art perspective to spot artworks on a normal day. But art and life are linked at a very close level. At the end of this episode, I'd just like to say that run the course of what you are going through to experience life at its fullest. And I will meet you in the next episode, which in some sense connects to this episode. We'll be talking about interpreting art in the next episode. Hope to see you soon. Thank you for listening to a Better Philosophy Towards Art podcast. This podcast has been crafted at Manic Pod Studios in Chembur, Mumbai. Your sound engineers are Rohit Das and Mainak Chakraborty. Your producers are Vedant Naik and Arnav Dogra. Don't forget to check out my Instagram page in the description below, and also give Manic Pod a follow for more fun podcasting content. See you in the next episode.